Good afternoon, teachers. Welcome to the first episode in our video series in which we will be discussing the 6 guidelines for serving the needs of gifted and talented students as put forth by Professor Karen B. Rogers from the University of St. Thomas in St. Paul, Minnesota. In this video, we will focus on her first guideline, which states that students who are academically or intellectually gifted and talented should spend the majority of their school day with others of similar abilities and interests. Before we get started, though, it is important to note that ability grouping is one of the most controversial educational practices that has ever been. Its supporters believe it has great benefits in regards to meeting the needs of unique learners on both ends of the spectrum, while its opponents argue that it only widens the achievement gap. Regardless, it is important that we as educators understand that ability grouping policies and practices greatly affect a child's schooling experience, the teachers they will have, and the students they will learn alongside. Therefore, we must know what the research says as we make these decisions for our students. The recommendation from Rogers that gifted students should be placed in full-time ability grouping comes after analyzing years of research, which points to significant achievement gains in all subject areas when full-time grouping is implemented. Researchers Kulik and Kulik have found that despite the concerns of some that students in lower groups are harmed academically, the findings across multiple studies show lower groups of students are neither helped nor harmed, while gifted students make great gains in academic achievement when full-time ability grouping is implemented. They note, the evidence is clear that high aptitude and gifted students benefit academically from programs that provide separate gifted instruction for them. Academic benefits are positive but small when grouping is done as part of a broader program for all students. Benefits are positive and moderate in size in programs that are specifically designed for gifted students. In addition, despite concerns regarding the development of an inflated sense of self-esteem for the gifted and lowered self-esteem for those not labeled as gifted, research actually shows the opposite to be true. Grouping increases the self-esteem of the low achiever while slightly decreasing that of the gifted student. Under the circumstances of full-time grouping, the research also shows gains in the gifted students' attitudes about the subject being studied. Researchers Vogel and Prekel note that ability grouping is often found to be able to mitigate the issues of boredom and frustration, which are all too common themes for gifted students. In a full-time ability grouping setting, teachers are better able to address the needs of the gifted student to pursue their own interest and to provide challenging work. As a result, gifted students maintain a better attitude towards their subject and towards school in general when placed in an environment where their needs are met with greater individualization and attention than in the general education classroom. The research done has not shown any partiality towards the form of grouping used, as long as it is a full-time grouping setup as specified in Rogers' guidelines. Some grouping possibilities include magnet schools, special schools for the gifted, or private schools, a school within a school, special classes for the gifted, or even cluster grouping. Of course, though, we can't ignore the potential concerns that full-time grouping may carry. One such concern is that such programs may appear to be elitist. This concern requires a heightened sensitivity to concerns of equity and equal access to quality education. Another concern is that the option can be difficult to put into place for very small schools or districts with low student populations or budgetary constraints. Regardless of these concerns and drawbacks, the research still speaks strongly that the gifted and talented student population benefits most when they are together for a majority of the day. After hearing what this guideline entails, we bet you are wondering what it looks like in the classroom or in schools. Simply put, academically or intellectually gifted and talented students should spend their time during the school day with other students who have similar abilities as they do. But this can take many forms. Rim, Siegel, and Davis explain a variety of different grouping models that enable these students to work alongside each other. These grouping options include magnet schools, special schools for the gifted, private schools, school within a school, special classes, and cluster groups. Magnet schools are a setting that can include regular students mixed heterogeneously with gifted students, or it can be exclusively gifted students. Some magnet schools offer specialized training in various areas such as math, science, or trade skills, and provide more autonomy to student content that is relevant to their interests. Rim, Siegel, and Davis mention that the purpose of these schools is to make school relevant and realistic to student goals instead of restrictive, as some typical schools are. There are also magnet schools that are designated specifically for high-ability students. Students in these schools are bused from their home districts to a school that suits their educational or career interests. Students who attend magnet schools specifically for gifted students spend their time with students who have the same high abilities as they do all day long. Special schools for the gifted are completely separate schools that are only intended for gifted and talented students. These schools combine traditional academic content that is required by district and state guidelines, but also incorporates enrichment and accelerated training in a variety of areas. Private schools are schools that are independent and not operated or funded by federal, state, or local government. Because of this, private schools can accept or deny students based on a set of criteria they establish. In addition to this, students must pay tuition to attend private schools. Private schools are seen as an alternative for students with high abilities, as achievement typically runs higher in these schools. Some private schools are heterogeneously grouped, and some are targeted specifically towards gifted populations. For example, Bridges Academy in California is a private school that only serves gifted students. A school within a school is as simple as it sounds. Gifted students attend a school with regular students. The gifted students are in classes grouped together with their similar peers for academic subjects and mix with their regular peers in a heterogeneous grouping for non-academic subjects such as study hall, physical education, and home economics. Special classes are very similar to the school within a school model. In the special classes grouping, gifted and talented students are grouped together in the same classes for academics. At the elementary level, students at the same grade level or age range would be grouped in a class together for a majority of the day, just as regular elementary students are placed in a class that they stay in all year. At the secondary level, gifted and talented students may be all placed together in advanced, college preparatory, or additional classes that would be advantageous for them. The last type of grouping for gifted and talented students we would like to discuss is cluster grouping. In cluster grouping, around 5 to 10 high-ability students are grouped with regular ability students. The teacher of this class has received in-service training in gifted education and is prepared to differentiate for his or her high-ability students. In this model, although gifted students are heterogeneously mixed in a classroom with their regular ability peers, there is still a group of high-ability peers for which students can work alongside. All of the research analyzed by James and Chenlin Kulik in their meta-analysis of studies related to ability grouping describes an increase in achievement when high-ability students are grouped with those similar in ability. Although there are many ways to group high-ability students, a school system can feel ease in choosing the option that works best for them, because each grouping option has shown increases in achievement for high-ability students. Now that we've grasped what the guideline means and what it looks like in practice, our next best question is, why is it effective? Various research has been done on the different ideals of grouping methods. In today's video, we will focus mainly on the benefits of cluster grouping. Perhaps most noticeable and still in need of further research is the benefit of cluster grouping for underrepresented populations. Push-in programs specifically provide a potential to increase the number of identified gifted students from underrepresented groups. In these programs, teachers who have been provided with the specific gifted education professional development create an environment with the general education classroom teacher that extends the learning for all those exposed to the programming methods. This academic push or extension allows for the learners who are identified to experience differentiation, enrichment, and acceleration along with their grade level peers, and exposes those who may not typically be given the opportunity to experience those challenging learning nuggets and may uncover their high achievement needs as well. Additionally, regardless of the style of grouping option, the research shows that students have still received the benefits of grouping. It allows the teachers to fit the students' capabilities and learning needs, develop his or her creativity and thinking skills, reduce boredom and frustration, and combat underachievement habits. Now, these programs are only effective if structured and organized effectively with collaboration between the gifted resource teacher and the general education classroom teacher. When a teacher knows how to respond to the gifted learner needs, they create a sense of buy-in that allows for the flourishing of creativity, critical thinking, collaboration, and communication between peers. Based on research, it is undeniable the effects of grouping, when done properly and with fidelity, create positive achievement opportunities for gifted students and have the ability to reach those who are learning English or from low-income families. As Gentry details, researchers have found improved achievement among students in cluster grouping programs, specifically among gifted students clustered in classrooms where the model was implemented with fidelity. To refresh your memory, Guideline 1 states students who are academically or intellectually gifted and talented should spend the majority of the school day with others of similar abilities and interests. These grouping moments can provide opportunities for learners to tap into deeper and more meaningful learning experiences. The most important information we would like you to take away from today's video is that as educators, we need to ensure we are meeting the needs of our gifted learners. When investigating this topic, many different avenues are available to those who design education, but we hope that Guideline 1 resounds with our listeners. We hope you all understand the value and significance of ensuring this guideline is met. Regardless of the avenue we take, cluster grouping, magnet schools, pull-out programs, or even summer STEM opportunities, it is essential that we allow these gifted learners to collaborate and grow with students of similar interests and abilities who challenge and understand their thinking.